King Von's last night has been analyzed 1,000 times. But what just surfaced might change everything you thought you knew. New footage shows the chilling moments that led to his death in Atlanta. The chaos outside the Monaco hookah lounge, and the shocking decisions that went down in just 10 minutes. From rising star to street legend, from platinum plaques to gunfire, this is the untold story of Von's final moments. And it's far more intense than anyone imagined. Stay with me, because once you see this, you won't look at that night the same way again. King Von's final night has been dissected countless times, but recently, new footage has surfaced that sheds chilling light on what really went down. To understand it, we need to go back to November 5, 2028. Night that started like any other for the 26-year-old Chicago drill rapper. Davon Daquan Bennett, famously known as King Von. Von was on top of the world. Just a week earlier, his debut album, Welcome to O-Block, had dropped, hitting number 5 on the Billboard 200. The album was more than music. It was a raw snapshot of the South Side streets that raised him, shaped him, and almost took him out more times than anyone could count. That night in Atlanta, Von was living the life of a rising star, celebrating his success, surrounded by his crew and manager, moving through a city that had quickly become his second home. But the night would turn tragic outside the Monaco hookah lounge, a popular downtown spot known for late-night energy and celebrity pull-ups. New footage has reignited debates about street codes, self-defense, and survival, the harsh realities Von's world revolved around. The tension between Von and Quando Rando's camp wasn't new. Both were young, ambitious artists in the drill and trap scene. A world where gang affiliations and music beef often collide in public, sometimes deadly ways. Von's crew was tied to the Black Disciples through O-Block, while Quando had connections back in Savannah. Before that night, they'd only exchanged online jabs. No physical confrontation had yet occurred. Von had recently gotten off house arrest in Chicago for unrelated charges, which would later be dismissed. In Atlanta, his crew of 10 to 15 members, including OTF members and his manager, had been hopping from club to club. Meanwhile, 22-year-old Quando Rando was parked outside the lounge, catching some rest after a nearby performance between roughly 2:15 a.m. and 3:30 a.m. on November 6. Everything went sideways. Surveillance footage shows Von's crew approaching the lounge. When they noticed Quando's black SUV, things escalated quickly. According to witnesses and analysis of the footage, Von rushed toward Quando, unarmed but determined. A violent altercation broke out. Von struck first, landing multiple hits while his crew joined in, turning it into a chaotic mob attack. The situation spiraled. Gunshots rang out. Ballistics reports estimate 4 to 6 rounds were fired. King Von was hit 6 times, 3 to the chest and torso, 1 to the right arm, 1 to the neck, and 1 grazing the back of his head. He collapsed near a black sedan. The chaos didn't end there. Off-duty and on-duty police arrived within 90 seconds, firing shots at armed suspects trying to flee. In the melee, OTF member Mark Blakely was killed, and Lil Tim sustained gunshot wounds to his leg and arm. Autopsy reports confirmed the devastating toll of that night. Von's life ended in an instant, a stark reminder of how quickly things can escalate in the world he came from. Years later, the footage continues to spark discussions about loyalty, street survival, and the fine line between defending oneself and stepping into deadly violence. The chaos didn't end when the shots rang out. Within minutes, Von's crew was trying to lock down the scene, shouting over smoke and screams. Boss Top kept asking, "Is Von good? Is he alive?" Meanwhile, paramedics arrived, finding Von barely breathing. They intubated him on the spot and rushed him to Grady Memorial Hospital. Despite their efforts, he was pronounced dead at 3:17 a.m., having suffered massive internal bleeding and organ failure. All of it from the first punch to the final shot happened in under 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes. And the new footage reveals some shocking details. One of Von's own associates tried to finish off Lil Tim execution style after he was already down, but the gun jammed. By what seemed like sheer luck, Lil Tim survived. That failed shot became a crucial point in the legal case that followed. Timothy Leaks was charged with felony murder and posted a $100,000 bond in March 2021. But in August 2023, the Fulton County DA dropped all charges, citing self-defense evidence in the video that showed Von had started the fight. When asked about that night, Leaks didn't dodge the truth. He admitted the gravity of the situation and reflected on how things spiraled out of control, emphasizing that he wasn't one to seek out trouble or clout chase. To really understand the weight of that night, you have to know who King Von was and the life he came from. Daquan Bennett was born on August 9, 1994, in Chicago's Robert Taylor Homes, later rebuilt as Parkway Gardens, what the world now knows as Oak. His early years were marked by loss and violence. At 11, his father, Walter Bennett, was shot, leaving him mostly in the care of his mother Tisha, a hardworking hairdresser. The streets became a second parent almost immediately. By age 12, Vaughn was already stealing cars to survive. His juvenile record shows arrests starting at 13 for carrying a gun, and by 14, he was regularly cycling through Cook County Juvenile detention for robberies and violent incidents. Vaughn grew up at 6451 South King Drive, right across from the courtyard where Odie Perry was killed in 2011. That death transformed the neighborhood, and the complex earned the nickname O Block in his memory, a name that stuck and is now officially recognized. In police and federal records, Vaughn's real rise began around 2010 to 2011. At 16, he joined the Black Disciples under the O Block set and earned the nickname Grandson because elders thought he resembled a young David Barksdale, the gang's founder. Between 2011 and 2014, he spent much of his teen years in and out of juvenile detention and Cook County Jail. It was during one of these stretches, a 3-year sentence for carrying a gun at 16, that Vaughn began taking music seriously. He later described how music became an outlet and a way to channel the turbulence of his life into something bigger than the streets. When Vaughn talked about beating his case, he kept it simple. He said he didn't do the crime, took it all the way to trial, and walked free. In his words, if you didn't do it, you're gonna beat it. When he got out in 2017, after beating that first-degree murder charge, he was 23, covered in tattoos, sharp, and already carrying a reputation that stretched across the South Side. Everyone knew the name King Von long before he ever released a track. His major break came through Lil Durk, his day one brother. Vaughn explained their bond like they were built from the same soil, and Durk opened the door that helped launch Vaughn into the game. Everything changed in October 2018, when Vaughn dropped Crazy Story. Within a week, the video hit 5 million views. A month later, it was certified platinum. Critics who once said drill music lacked depth suddenly started calling Vaughn the Quentin Tarantino of rap. He had a unique way of storytelling, calm, almost whispering while the beat thumped underneath. Every detail hit hard because he let each word breathe. Vaughn even explained his style. He didn't yell, didn't rush, he painted scenes like a movie. His catalog built fast. Grandson, Vol. 1 2019. Peaked at No. 75. LeVon James. 2020. Broke into the top 40. Welcome to O Block 2020. Debuted at No Fight and later went platinum, but Vaughn's story was always bigger than music. Chicago police files had his name attached to at least 7 homicide investigations between 2012 and 2020. Only one case ever reached trial. The 2014 shooting. Vaughn never denied his past. He didn't glorify it. But he didn't run from it either. People asked him whether constantly mentioning 63rd put a target on his back. Vaughn shrugged it off. In his mind, nobody could touch him. Just days before he died, he addressed the rumors about him having beef with NBA, YoungBoy and Quando Rondo. He brushed it off as rap politics, people choosing sides, saying one thing online, doing another behind the scenes. Vaughn explained that a lot of these rappers pretend to be gangsters around him, trying too hard to impress. He hated that. His message was clear: you don't need to show off for me. Don't come to me talking about bodies or street stuff. I don't want to hear it. Even with all the chaos surrounding him, Vaughn still valued realness over fake street talk. NLE Choppa, who was close with Vaughn, gave insight into who King Von really was as a person. He said it plain: Vaughn wasn't just a colleague, he was family. King Von was like a brother to me, Choppa explained. He was the realest person I had in this industry. Even when he was on house arrest, I'd hit him up whenever I needed anything. Pipes, sticks, whatever, it was always him. He was a stand-up dude. Choppa emphasized Vaughn's integrity and courage. If Vaughn wanted to handle something, he didn't hide behind anyone. He went himself, on his own terms. Tragically, that night in Atlanta ended differently than it should have. And Vaughn left behind 3 children, cutting his life far too short. Despite his short life, Vaughn's music legacy is monumental. His catalog has amassed 9 platinum singles, over 6 billion streams. And every major project either debuted in the top 15 or went certified. And here's the kicker: he did all of it without radio play or mainstream features outside the Chicago, New York drill scene. That's pure organic heat. But Vaughn's death didn't put the streets on pause. If anything, it added fuel to an already raging fire. The Atlanta shooting in November 2020 set off a chain of events that included federal indictments, multi-million-dollar lawsuits, and further casualties on both sides of the beefa feud that continues to this day. The most shocking development came on October 24, 2024, when federal agents swooped in at Miami Opa-locka Executive Airport and arrested Lil Durk as he was boarding a private jet to Dubai, barefoot and still in pajamas. He was handcuffed on the spot. At the same time, 5 other OTF members were taken in raids across Chicago and Los Angeles. The charges were serious conspiracy to commit murder for hire, linked to the August 2022 killing of Saviaya Lulpab Robinson, Quando Rondo's cousin, at a Los Angeles gas station. The Fed's theory was straightforward. King Von's death ignited the conflict. Lil Durk allegedly gave the green light on anyone connected to Quando, Rondo or NBA YoungBoys for KT. When Rondo's crew arrived in Los Angeles in August 2022, OTF reportedly coordinated everything: the shooters, hotel rooms, getaway vehicles, all fueled by the lingering tension from Von's murder. Key evidence from the lawsuits and complaints dropped jaws across the community. Authorities claimed OTF corporate Amex cards were used to book 5 first-class flights from Chicago to LA. A $20,000 Cash App transfer went to one of the shooters just 2 days after the murder. And there was even a 45-second jail call where Durk allegedly says, "Tell Von I got that for him." Durk has addressed the situation publicly, keeping it blunt. The whole situation with Quan, how we live and how we go about it, if you weren't there. Shut up, he said. You didn't do anything, yet you talk about Von. That's why I don't mess with you. It just happened the way it happened. Age, none of that mattered. When asked if he would still work with artists linked to YoungBoy, Durk stayed firm. "No, I just won't. It's music. But this ain't music, it's Von." Civil lawsuits piled up quickly. Andrea Laquilla Robinson, Lil Pab's mother, filed a wrongful death suit against Durk, his manager, OTF Entertainment, and affiliated companies, claiming Durk orchestrated the hit as if planning an album rollout. FBG Duck's family also updated their complaint in October 2024 to include Durk, accusing him of being involved in Duck's 2020 murder and knowing about Von's $100,000 bounty on Duck. Meanwhile, the public beef raged on. NBA YoungBoys United Center show in Chicago got canceled in October 2024 over safety concerns. In October 2025, during a tour stop in Atlanta, YoungBoy brought Lil Tim on stage while performing "I Hate YoungBoy," a move many saw as disrespect and provocation. Von's family has been relentless in keeping his legacy alive. His sister Kayla B called out a DJ in May 2024 for playing YoungBoy tracks, and NLE Choppa spoke about the cycle of violence claiming young black men. He said, "This cycle we're in as black men is never ending. At the end of the day, we're all human, thinking and feeling the same way." As of December 2025, Durk is still in MCC Chicago, with his trial set for October 2025. His assets, estimated at $8 million, have been mostly frozen. His Buckhead mansion, fleet of Bentleys, and OTF's main accounts holding $4.7 million are all under asset forfeiture. King Von's posthumous releases, however, keep cementing his legacy. What It Means to Be King debuted at No. 2 in 22 to grandson hit No. 14 in 2023. In June 2025, Von, The Final Chapter, a hybrid album documentary, debuted at No. 1, controversially using cleaned-up body cam footage as transitions, dividing fans but keeping his name trending. Evan, the Parkway mural of Von was taken down on November 29, 2024, due to gang-related safety concerns, a symbolic end to a physical monument. Even as his digital presence continues to grow, in just 26 years, King Von accomplished more than most artists do in a lifetime. He turned the streets of O'Block into lyrical literature, made raw confessions into entertainment, and died the moment his legend outgrew the world. The newly enhanced viral footage, the body cam, surveillance angles, and better quality clips doesn't change the facts of that night, but it forces us to watch again. A young man full of promise charging into a fight he thought he could win, only to be cut down, regardless of platinum plaques or Billboard rankings. At the end of the day, the streets don't separate rappers from shooters, and King Von, who lived as both, ultimately paid the price his bars always warned about.